And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is Breakfast with the Boys, and if you've been paying attention to Facebook and our YouTube, we have shorts up. We recorded an episode earlier, well, a bit of an episode earlier this week with the Chiefs-Bills game. But first, let me introduce you to Breakfast with the Boys crew. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me, I guess you could say the second time, but for the first official time for this show are the gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, aren't these faces beautiful? We have people and we have greatness here. So let me introduce you to people first. So first off, I'm going to introduce you to a fellow brother in arms. His ass rides in Navy equipment. He's a dirty double dog, but he loves working on stuff, and he is a grease monkey. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our man, Justin Glover. Justin, introduce yourself to these fine folks.
What's up, everybody? Hey, like Patrick said, my name is Justin. I did a little bit of time in the Marine Corps and did some cool stuff overseas for Uncle Sam's misguided children. And yeah, had some fun.
All right. Next up, we have ourselves the faceless wonder, Steve Lindo. Steve, introduce yourself.
How's it going? Name's Steve. Here I am.
All right. So that's short and sweet one. Next up is the second part of Steve Squared. This is Steven Fernberg, also race car driver, savant, I guess you could say, micro savant. So this is Fernie.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Steven. Like Patty said, I drove micro sprints for about 2 years.
All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, our favorite, well, I guess the dad of the group. This is Nathan Fossey. Nathan, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Nathan Fossey. I'm a pipe fitter in St. Louis here for local 562, and got into iRacing back in 2021, and been with these guys ever since.
There we go. See, look at that, folks. Introducing ourselves already. Now, I'm gonna go jump around to everyone else now. And Glover,
Yeah.
we'll start with you here. When and how did you get into iRacing?
So for the last probably 25 years or so, I missed a couple trips with deployments and stuff. But for the last 25 years or so, my family and I have been going to the Chili Bowl with my grandpa Gene in Tulsa. My grandpa Gene is like Tulsa dirt track royalty from like back in the 70s and 80s. And he took us to the Chili Bowl once when we were little kids, and we fell in love, and we've been going every year since. And the first year iRacing was there, they had like a 5-car setup where you could do a couple laps on the Chili Bowl track. And man, I fell in love with it. And it took me a little while to get my setup going and stuff, because like I was a kid when I first tried it, and my mom was like, I'm not buying you $1,000 computer and a wheel and pedals so you can play video games all day long. So I had to wait a little while. But anyway, I got into iRacing and just started, in a Facebook group, I think it was, trying to meet people, and ended up meeting the Outlaw group, the boys that we first ran with, Patrick and Doug. Had a buddy here named Doug who hooked me up with my PC and got everything set up and rolling for me. And we all raced together for a little while in Outlaw. And then shortly thereafter, we met Vossi, I think. And then whenever Steve and Fernie came in, was a little later, I'm pretty sure, but it was a while ago, so I'm a little fuzzy on exactly when it all happened. But yeah, been loving it, man.
So that's what got you into it. So as I stated, you're obviously a grease monkey. What do you do for a living?
Man, I work at a little shop here in Bentonville called Boss Hog Off Road, and I make little trucks into big trucks and little Jeeps into big Jeeps. And sometimes we get to do some classic restoration on some older stuff, but mostly it's an upfitting shop. If you buy a brand new truck and you want a big lift kit or big wheels and tires, we do that stuff. So See my logo on the car right there? Boss Hog Off-Road right there.
You can also see it on his hat right there. So we're gonna jump over to Fernie here. Fernie, how did you get into iRacing?
So I was watching a lot of YouTube at the time, watching people do it. I was like, I wanted to do it. I was already streaming at that point. So once I got the money, finally, I bought a PC and built it to specs just for iRacing. And I started that in about 2018. Then met up with some good people for a little bit, doing some fixed setup stuff. And then I met Goose, which he'll be on the show later on. He hooked me up with a team, and then that's how I met everybody else through that.
And so Glover and Vossi have stated what they do for a living. So what do you do for a living, Fernie?
So I am a service writer for a small garage close to where I live.
All right, and that's in Pennsylvania, right?
Yep, correct.
All right. Now, Cheating Steve.
Headless Steve.
Sorry, the faceless wonder himself.
Can we call him Cheating Steve or?
Yeah, we can definitely call him Cheating Steve.
Yeah.
Cheating Steve. Yeah.
That doesn't sound great.
I mean, it's cheating at iRacing.
Well,
Anyway.
I mean,
Vossi, quit hiding,
If you
behind
really-
that duck.
if you guys wanna accuse
I
me
see
of
you
it.
hiding behind that duck, Vossi. Quit hiding up there.
So Steve, how did you get into iRacing?
I've
I mean,
wanted
I
to
was
know this for so
into-
long.
I was into racing for a long time. Growing up and whatnot, obviously, always been into motorsports. In general, grew up a lot around like truck and tractor pulling and whatnot. That's kind of what got me into motorsports to begin with, and then just kind of expanded from there. When I used to game quite a decent amount back, Xbox 360 days, Xbox One, all that crap, I did a lot of Forza racing, and always kind of heard about iRacing doing that. Never really, I mean, I'd watch a couple things here and there, but never really got much of a chance to do anything because I didn't have a PC or anything. Then finally back in, I think it was 2020. Yeah, beginning of 2020. It was right before all that shit started. Ended up getting a PC. Another big reason that made me decide to do it was I originally wanted to get it for simulator games, truck sim, farm sim, whatnot, and then finally was able to save up to get a steering wheel, whatnot, broke down and got into iRacing and kind of just went from there and had quite a bit of fun on it.
Says had like he still isn't kicking all our butts up and down the racetrack every day.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
I
like
mean-
it's not even fun.
Yeah, we have to take turns chasing you.
I just tried it once. That was so good. Oh, so good.
I have so much
But,
fun using my
yeah,
grip
I
hacks.
Okay. But yeah, when I started doing this, like Patrick or Glover said, I can't remember which one, brought up the fact of how we all met in a racing league there. I know me and Patrick were racing in there for a while, and then I think everyone, well, between Bossy and Glover, they trickled in there at some point, and we just kind of always, I don't know what started it, but ended up creating kind of friendship there, and it's followed us for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Almost
Going on
five- yeah.
almost 5
5
years.
years, man. And let it be known to the general public that are listening. This is not a video game. You know, this is where if you want to play the highest level of racing simulation that you can play, this is where you go.
Mhm.
And it's not always great and it's not always
No.
bad. But through all of it, we've became really good friends. Patrick and Vossi and another guy named Skylar are actually the only two that have ever actually met in person,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Bossy
So-
and I, met at the Knoxville Nationals. What, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah, that was probably one of the best weekends ever.
Yep. We slept
Ever.
together.
Yeah, dropped it in the window.
By the way, it is a video game still.
It
I
is.
mean, no, I don't.
It is, but if you want to get technical, it's the highest level of sim racing you can get.
And it's cheaper than racing a real car at this point.
Right,
I mean,
right.
yeah.
That's the whole reason I fell so much in love with it, because it was so good that it was worth spending the money on to get into, but it wasn't, spending $25,000 to go put a racetrack on a race car, or a race car on a racetrack, and then, God forbid if something happens to it, I don't have the money to rebuild it. So
Yeah, I know that. I know
So-
that feeling. I did that for 2 years.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Glover. When you started iRacing, you were starting to do street stocks, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And you won your first race out, didn't you?
So that was the mini stock.
The mini stock, yeah.
The mini stock at Monette Speedway a couple years ago. My buddy Cody, one of my best friends that I've known since, met this kid on the football field in 3rd grade. Okay. And we've been friends for the last 30 years. And he had a couple mini stocks. He'd been mini stock racing for a couple years. And this one little car he had, boy, it was a bad little bitch. And I just asked him one time, I was like, man, let me run it. And he was like, okay. Like, you're gonna ask to race somebody's race car, and they say yes. So he let me run it at Monette, man, and I ended up winning the race, and it was an awesome experience. My brother and my Uncle Kevin, and he was there, so I got me a big trophy. It was like my first race ever, won the damn thing, and I was like 1 for 1.
Go out on top.
Yeah.
He's batting 1,000, guys, taking and leaving. The quickest career ever.
I got the helmet in the garage and still got the tear offs on it, and I'm leaving it.
Yeah, you never
Probably
goes
still
off.
got the dirt still caked on it.
It's not gonna get any better than that.
Nope.
So, Vossi, I'm pretty sure you said it earlier, but again for the folks, how did you get into iRacing? Or why?
Yeah, so I got into iRacing, really just watching people streaming on stuff on Facebook during the I guess the beginnings of the pandemic, and so whenever they handed out stimulus money, the stimulus checks, I used that to stimulate the economy and buy myself a
Very nice.
whole sim rig, computer, and
Very nice.
wheel and pedals, and the whole thing, and just went in head first. I saw it at racetracks when we would go watch, big shows. They'd have the simulators there. But I just
And now, how
just
many
went
championships have you won?
three.
Come on.
I don't know.
Does anyone remember the Summer of Vossi tour?
This man has become quite the late model driver, my friend.
Yeah, guys, we literally had the Summer of Vossi one year. I think I was doing 2 or 3 posts a week for this man at one point.
He kicked all our asses,
Including cheating Steve's.
with one hand.
One hand.
Yeah.
We gotta start
believe
calling
it.
him the Manimal or something. That man's just on a tear.
We've been racing together for 5 years, and I just fucking figured out you
Literally.
race with one hand.
Yeah.
So, for the grand backstory of it all, so 4 of us raced in a league together.
Mhm.
Steve and I were the first 2 there. I think Vossi joined us, then Glover joined us.
Yeah.
Vossi was, so funny story, Steve, Vossi, and I finished 1, 2, 3 in a 100-lap late model race where I led till lap 99 and 3/4, and Steve threw a slider from right there at my quarter panel and cleared me like it was his day job. And that's when he was coined the name Steve Slider Lindo. And then
I have that replay still if anyone would like to watch at some point.
I would like it so I could
Put the
study
link
it
in the
again.
description.
Comment below.
I'll post a clip of it for you guys, okay?
Got it.
Jesus.
But then I joined a team we were all Fernie was on with our buddy Goose, and then we slowly added Vossi, Steve, and Glover. And since then, every one of us but one person's come over. We've been really good friends, actually more of a family than friends.
Yeah, for sure.
We've been through some dark times together.
Yep.
All that fun jazz.
That's a fact.
We've been through each other's lowest,
What about you, Fernie? Tell us about the micros.
I know I tore a lot of shit up in the 2 years I was in it. First race out, I went out for hot laps, went out for the heat race, was just getting comfortable, and then was running the feature and flipped the car. First night out in it.
Just flipped it.
Don't
And-
remember a whole lot about the flip. I closed my eyes.
So
Yep.
when you got out, so for all the fans watching and listening, when you got out of the car or while you were flipping, was there a iRacing reset button in that car?
I wish there would have been.
Were you
He's
maxing?
all F4.
Maxing all F4.
All F4. All F4.
Yeah, be honest with you, I wanted to keep going, but the exhaust fell off the motor.
I'll
So
tell
I
you
couldn't.
this. I'll tell you this. Racing and iRacing is nothing like racing in real
No.
life.
No,
No.
it's
Nothing at all.
not.
Okay. Okay. The only thing that I'll say is this: that iRacing helped me with the most in real racing is like the structure of it all. Like
Your
what the-
racecraft, pretty much.
what the flags mean, what the race, what your racecraft, how you're going to deal in traffic and how you're not going to deal in traffic. But I'm going to tell you right now, man. First time I got in that mini stock and sent it over the backstretch wall because I was going too fast and cooked it off the berm, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
This doesn't respond the same way. This is weird.
No, it's not a video game.
Wait, so you're telling me I
is
gotta pay
not.
for all that damage? It doesn't just reset?
Yeah. I almost ended up in the pond at the bottom of that hill. And I was just like, I remember coming up over the top of the track, like off what's that track on iRacing that doesn't have the wall?
Lernerville?
Lernerville. When you go off that Lernerville, you're like, "Ah!"
And
Bro,
most of the time at like local tracks, when you go over the edge, there's
Yeah.
usually like a nice pond or
Yep.
swamp area that
Yep.
you like drive off into. It's like that's
There we
not
go.
going to clean up right.
So my home track, Albany Saratoga, there isn't that. It's a runoff into a construction parking lot with dump trucks, and you got to make it back on the track by turn 3, or you're gonna hit the wall. So when you go off at 1, you got a whole runoff to like just about 3 to get back on track.
So about you, well, you did some racing, didn't you, Patrick?
No, so I
You crewed a
so
car.
I crewed a car. So when I grew up, actually, my neighbor, his father-in-law raced pro stocks, the cars I worked on.
Yeah. Asphalt, right?
No, dirt.
Oh, dirt. Okay.
Dirt car, dirt pro stock, which is
Y'all got a
basically
totally different kind of racing up in the Northeast than we got down here. Man.
so the pro stock is basically an asphalt late model with a dirt suspension on it.
Gotcha.
That's all it is.
Mhm.
Dirt tires. We run a 602 crate motor. But I would make the battery boxes for them, since that was the easiest thing for a kid to do, was just rivet some sheet metal together and bang a box out.
There you go.
So when they would go to Syracuse, so Super Dirt Week in New York is the party of it's all week. You leave on Tuesday or Monday, and usually the sportsmen and the modifieds go to Brewerton and Weedsport, and they do a race, and then everyone used to qualify at the Moody Mile, which is where I think Jack Hodenshield has the fastest sprint car record or something like that. But I always over there all the time. We'd always go in the pits with them after the races because my dad didn't want me in the pits during the races because moving cars and a kid, so on and so forth.
Right. That was me at the Chili Bowl with Maverick this year.
So as I got older, my best friend, his cousin, races the same class.
Mm-hmm.
I started going into pits with them because I grew up with the kid. His dad's always with him. We were always in the pits, so on and so forth. And then a kid went to high school with Danny Sanchez, who races the UMP modifieds now in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Started racing too, and we would just work on the cars, so on and so forth. And that's really it. I'm big block guy. If it goes fast, and goes left or right, I'm watching it probably. Really started getting into this stuff with Forza, like Steve said, Xbox 360 days, Forza 4, was in the drift clubs, was doing the GT racing on the games, all the endurance racing. I was doing pressure car leagues. So I've been doing it for a while and didn't find iRacing till 2019, doing a PFA, Glover, on the bike, because you used to be able to play music and do the bike. I had the video up. I was watching the World Outlaws sprint car series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm going to look into it. And then bought an iRacing subscription, paid for it for 2 years till I got out, and then we're here.
Yeah. So I started on the NASCAR games on Xbox. I
The old
played
one, the
I
NASCAR
played
05 and all that.
all of those. Total Team Control. I
Mhm.
played Crew Chief. I played all that shit. And I got in a league in that last one that I played. I think it was NASCAR Heat 4, or I don't remember what. I don't even remember.
Probably.
But the last one I had, I won one of the league championships that I was in, and then I always knew about iRacing because, like I said, with the Chili Bowl, when I was a kid, when they first started, I played it for the first time there, and when I first tried it ever on asphalt, I was at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and it totally changed my life. I was like obsessed with putting a rig together so I could do it again.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, iRacing, it really, what makes you is your pedals and your wheel. You don't need whatever. Everything else is just kind of to run it. Wheels and
Yeah.
pedal make you. So we're all running on various different setups too. Bossy, I think, probably got the best one out of all of us. As
Thank
far
you
as-
to the stimulus check.
Thank you, Biden and COVID. But as you can tell, we all come from different backgrounds. Between Oklahoma royalty, a Midwestern boy
Mhm.
doing late model stuff, or two Pennsylvania Quakers working on modifieds and micro sprints.
qualify me in those.
One of these days, you guys are
Not
going to hear
from
the best
Pennsylvania.
story you've ever
Happen to live
heard.
here.
One of these days, you're
One
going
of
to hear
these
the best
days.
story you've ever heard.
Does anyone have a good racing story before we cover that?
I don't have any. The only one I have, I've already told, is the first race I ever entered, we won. And then when I was a kid at Bakersfield Speedway, the old Bakersfield Speedway before Harvick built his place out there, it was just Bakersfield Speedway. They're just like actually about to close it. Like, it's been out there for a long time, and I think they're in their last season, or coming up as their last season. They're going to shut it down. But when my uncle Stan Benson Racing, when he was racing his Nova, that was the first time I was ever really heavily involved with a race car. Was out when I was a teenager out in California, and was my first pit fight, first like everything. It was amazing.
I see a lot of those pit fights.
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, this dude listen, man, it was a racing deal. You know how we say it's a racing deal. Uncle Stan come off the racetrack, and the damn ramp was wet from the water bar. I mean, we're in Southern California, man. It's hot out there. So cars just kind of slid together, and they hit each other, and it wasn't no big deal. Nobody hurt, nothing was banged up. It was just the dude was like, boom, and then he turned around and got real pissed at Stan, and then tried to climb in my Uncle Stan's window, and I wasn't having that, and just,
So what's everyone's favorite kind of racing?
start with Steve.
Faceless Steve. What's your favorite kind of racing and why?
Like, are we
Could be
talking
anything.
real life iRacing?
Yeah.
What do we?
Let's do real life and then iRacing. How about
I mean,
that?
I guess for me, it's kind of the same, honestly, either way. But I'd say really real life. I prefer to watch like the UMP style modifieds. So we got a lot of that out here, and super late models. We got some. This is a pretty good area for quite a few good super late drivers. So luckily, I've got to watch a lot of them locally and in person before they even have made it to some of the tours and all that. So it's pretty cool to see that. A lot of real good UMP drivers around here too. So it's nice to see those. Goes about the same way with iRacing. Those are probably two of my favorite cars to drive on there. The other one that I'd prefer, which would be the big block modifieds, which those are fairly big around here as well in real life. Some people that I went to school with actually race them pretty heavily. Well, I shouldn't say go to school with them. Went to school with them, but he was couple years older than me, but they race them pretty heavy and travel, go down south, Texas, Florida, all that shit, and race at Lernerville all the time. So those are probably my 3 favorite classes to watch.
All right.
I mean, sprint cars are all right sometimes, as long as they don't wreck, pretty much, because then you're sitting there for a half hour before they start racing again.
Rubbish.
Because you
I
got to
mean,
push start them all because
he's
that
got a
sucks.
point. He's got a
Because
point.
they can't,
Rubbish.
God forbid they have a starter on them.
It's just because they're so cool and scientific.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go with that, we'll let you believe that.
They're
Baddest
engineering
race cars on the racetrack.
engineering feats.
Meh, not.
That's
I'm
definitely
just
a
saying
good
that all those other 3 classes I just named create a lot better racing to watch.
I mean,
They
I'm
all
not-
listen.
they all excel in their own areas.
Yes, this is the politically correct answer. Is they're all good at certain tracks. They're all really good cars at certain tracks. So there are some tracks you could put some of these cars on and they're terrible. It's a
yeah.
terrible racing.
Fact.
Yeah.
Good
All
point.
right.
Good points. I just like to be difficult. Everybody knows that.
I mean, a late model will race pretty much anywhere and put on a good show.
Same
No.
with Big Block,
Eldora, big or small.
even if it's
Same with UMPs. Big
About
track,
you, Fernie?
track.
What's your favorite kind of racing?
Sprint cars by far, since I am in the sprint car capital of the world in PA. I pretty much
Attaboy.
have a lot of good tracks locally that are like 2.5 hours to an hour and a half away that I can go to. But lately it's been in real life, I've been really enjoy working on micros. Even since I got out of racing them, I still have somehow got conned into working on them all the time. And then on the sim, it's sprint cars. I joined iRacing just for the sprint cars, and I've learned all the other cars. And I agree with Steve. Late models and big blocks do race a lot better than the sprint cars do right now in iRacing.
Ouch.
I mean, Glover.
It's true, Glover. It's a sad truth though. Like the sprint cars right now in iRacing are garbage.
They take turns.
Yeah, they take turns messing him up. I think.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
I agree.
iRacing's like, okay, let's take away this crowd for a little bit and
Right.
put them over here.
Yeah, they're getting
And if
more
you don't-
irate, so we'll fix their cars for a little bit, and then we're going to switch it later.
And if you can't be versatile in driving all the cars, then you're pretty much stuck dealing with the bad.
It is
Yes,
amazing. It is amazing on iRacing how iRacing has figured out how to make the cars drive different because they do drive different in real life. With the late
Yeah.
models, they drive off the right front, and with the sprint cars, they drive off the right rear. It's just amazing how they can change the dynamics of the cars for the different classes of cars to make them all drive the way that they're supposed to in real life. And it's not like a video game where it's just, oh, this drives the same no matter what I'm on.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing for me, man, is I love the
Switching.
sprint. I love the sprint car. And I know because you always yell at me. You cannot drive that like a sprint car.
Right.
And it's so hard for me to go from leaning on that right rear to leaning on that left front or
The
that
right
right
front,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a totally different aspect. It requires totally 2 different inputs on the throttle and the steering. It's not so much finesse with the wheel, more finesse with the pedal than on the late model. And it's
You should just
it's
try.
it's
one.
impressive. It's impressive that it's that much different.
Yes. Right.
You take the body off that car and you take the body off a sprint car and set them next to each other, and they're not a whole lot different.
I mean,
Yeah,
One's
a little
like 2
longer,
foot
one's
wider.
a little wider,
yeah, they're pretty
yeah,
different.
yeah.
But
There's a
they're
big
still-
difference.
but there's still 4 wheels on dirt going sideways.
Yes, but the suspension travel and the suspension changes are all completely different.
Yeah.
Sure.
You
And
know,
then you
there's-
talk about non-wing sprint cars. Fuck those things.
Yeah, nope. I won't touch them.
Oh no, forget that.
I don't have that much
nothing.
discipline in my
Nothing.
right foot to drive a fucking non-wing.
It-
That's
I think
anything without a wing.
They're just really attitudey.
That's a nice
Right.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Attitude-y.
They're very attitudey. They're very spicy for no
Real-
reason. They're just like,
real
I'm
bitchy.
gonna.
Real
I wanna-
bitchy.
It's like, you see that wall? You're gonna try and drive me down there. I want to go to that wall. Let's go to that wall.
Yeah.
I said the wall.
The only thing I like non-wing is my midgets, baby.
And they're a blast. Speaking of midgets, I was asked to show you beautiful folks.
So before, this is my type of racing, so I know what you're going to show. This is my favorite type of racing. I'm a huge midget car fan because of my years and years of going to the Chili Bowl. I just want to show you guys. This is me and my son in the infield right before the A main at the Chili Bowl, right before Kyle Larson wins the whole damn show. You got no
Sorry,
audio.
folks.
So that's Larson. And so the lights are off because they just did all the driver introductions for the A main.
I'll turn it down.
That's Owen. That's his little boy. Yeah. This is cool, man. Like, because if you know how to navigate through the Chili Bowl, you can get down there pretty easily. I've been, you know. There's a science to it. There's Mavi running up. Yeah, there goes Mavi right there. Yep. Man, that kid right there, heartbreaker. I almost feel like he should have won the whole thing. They just didn't have it, man. And I'm a Swindell fan. Like, that's my guy. Those are my guys, dude. I love the Swindells. Huge Sammy fan, huge Kevin fan, huge CV fan. They've put together a wonderful sprint or a wonderful midget program, and they just didn't have it, man. Kyle Larson's team, that car was just on rails, and it was just untouchable.
Yeah, that was so cool. I love getting those videos every year. Those are some of the coolest videos we get in the chat every year. Are your Chili Bowl, you're down in it, or you're, hey, I just found Sammy Swindell up here, you know, we're just hanging out, chit-chatting. Like,
I love Sammy, man. I walk right up to Sammy and grab him around the neck and give him a hug, and my mom gives him a big kiss on the cheek. It's like he knows, we've been going for so long.
Yeah.
It's not.
And for those of you that don't know at home, like, dirt racing access is different than NASCAR. Like, you can get into certain areas and meet certain people with, like, hey, I've been going here for forever, and they're like, all right, cool, whatever, do your thing. Unlike at NASCAR races, you're like, you got to pay an arm and a leg to get in here, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and which is
the
one
Chili
thing.
Bowl is fun because you get down in there with them, and you're so close to them because they're so tight in there, man. I mean, you can't walk between the haulers. You're so packed in there, and then you get down to Peasant Row where all the blue collar guys are, and dude, they'll hand you a wrench, like, here, hold this. Like, if you're gonna stand here, you're gonna do something almost. You know?
Their way of trying to get people out of it.
I mean, I feel like that's with every dirt racing. Like, you're able to get access to anything. Like, there was times where I've walked and across the bridge at Williamsgrove talking to Casey Kane, or in his trailer talking to him.
Yeah, that's like that's like when Stuart Friesen would come when we were going to Utica Rome all the time. You could walk up to Stu and have a conversation with Stewie in the pits. He doesn't care if you're he would make time for you. He didn't care. You know, you walk up to Stewie, hey man, I'm really enjoying what you're doing this year in the trucks. You know, I love watching the race. Hey, thanks, man. You know, this I just enjoy doing it, you know? Like, you know, like, these dirt guys are just out there having fun. Like, they're one of the few guys still chasing the dream, but having fun doing it, and they don't care how broke it makes them. They do, but
I'm a huge Justin Grant fan, and me and Maverick got to walk with Justin Grant. Like, when we got there on Saturday, the parking was horrible, man, and my grandpa's getting old, so you know, he likes to get there early. Well, not all of us like to sit there and watch the double E mains, man. You know what I mean? And we had to park way in the back, and we ended up getting to walk about a half mile, maybe a quarter mile with Justin Grant. Me and just my son were walking with him and talked to him the whole way up the ramp, all the way into the expo center. And when he got to his hauler, we split, and it was cool. You know,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon, same way. Stood there and talked to Jeff Gordon for a minute. That was real cool.
Well, that was like at Knoxville when we met Tony Stewart. That was one of the coolest things ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's
Tony's
a
cool,
legend.
man. I've met Tony a handful of times at the Chili Bowl, and he's always super cool.
That's like, you hear all this stuff about the guy, like, oh, he's an asshole, so on and so forth. He used to bring the All-Star Circuit of Champions to Lebanon Valley Motor Speedway, which was like 25 minutes from my parents' house growing up.
Yeah.
Half-mile banked dirt track, and these guys would rip, and he would hang out in the pits afterwards and drink beer with the people.
Oh yeah.
And like, you know, when we met on Vossi, I was like, "Hey man, you're the only person my sister and I could agree on that. You and Bobby were the only two." He goes, "Man, I learned a lot from Bobby, and your sister's got great taste." Like, just quick and like he didn't say it like a dick. And it was like 104 that day outside. He didn't have to do it.
Right.
It was hot that day.
It was hot. We were
It was
hiding in
hot.
we were trying to find every piece of shade we could.
Bro, we were hanging out in the liquor store, just being trying to stay cool.
And see, the Chili Bowl is exactly the opposite. It was like 5 degrees
Yeah.
with a wind chill of -2. It was fucking freezing cold.
Glover, I thought I'd been inhuman and didn't. It was hot out there that Friday, and I was like, "Ugh,
Oh yeah,
it was so gross."
yeah, dude. Even walking from the Tahoe up to the Expo Center, you're done. Like that's as far as you want to fucking be outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Hey, but you guys are coming next year, right?
that's the plan.
Yes.
That's the
It's the
plan.
plan.
It's been 5 years, man. You guys have been watching me go by myself all these years. Skylar's the only one that went, and Skylar had a damn good time, boy.
Yeah, but he had that face mask on.
Yeah, you
Skylar,
can't have
I
that.
love you. I love you.
dude.
I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I'm throwing you under the bus, but you had that face mask on, and you looked like a bitch. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
totally.
saying.
And hey, listen, and his boss,
For a guy who was in the pits at I-55, you're being
Yep.
a bitch.
yeah, and like so his boss Dustin, they were there this year again, and they were sitting in the same stands, and they had their same face masks on, and like I've got my 8-year-old son, first time Chili Bowl, and I tried to hand him some headphones to keep his keep his ears from ringing. He's like, I don't need that. And I'm looking at these 35, 40-year-old dudes with fucking Darth Vader face masks on.
Must be a kid thing, Glover. That's how my kids are the same.
Mavi's
They
like,
hand him-
hit me with the dirt. I don't give a damn.
With the earphones too.
Yeah.
So-
he didn't want to hear him.
Cheating Steve.
Yo,
You know the guy from he does the Pro Mod tractors. It's the oh my god, it's the blue one. The blue something. He's from New York.
I don't know who you're talking about, but possibly.
You talking
Anyways.
about Cool and Tractor?
Yeah.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah. So the Langford tractor pull, which I believe is one of the oldest tractor pulls in the country,
Mhm.
is out in Langford, New York. My buddy Snyder, we used to go all the time. And the one guy is from out there, brings his tractor to just do a pull and leaves. So we're there a couple years ago, and I didn't put Hearing Pro on like a dummy.
Mhm.
You know, jet exhaust done enough. I thought I was good. I get up, we get back to his house. I look at him, I go, huh? He goes, bro, I haven't said anything in 35 minutes. I said, oh, that's just the ringing in my ears then. Oh, God.
Well, you got to think there's fucking or shit. My bad. There's 4, 5, some with 6 motors on them.
Yeah, it's like
They're
like a
producing-
rotary, yeah.
10,000 horsepower per motor.
Straight piped.
For
Yeah.
sure. Zoomy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
straight off the headers.
Probably why I'm deaf.
Yeah,
I'll tell
I
you
mean,
this. The
That
app-
probably
it's,
finished-
you sit there next to the track as they're going down, it shakes the entire ground.
Oh, I
oh
know.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
you got to, when they're putting down fucking 40, 50,000 horsepower to the dirt, that's insane.
Mhm.
That was some of the most fun I've had during the day. Shame we couldn't get as drunk as we wanted to, but it was a blast.
The loudest thing I've ever heard in my life, man, and I mean in my life, is standing on the line at the 4 wide Z mag drags with the top fuel sitting there.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to go to
There,
that
there
store.
is absolutely no description for it. It takes your soul out of your body, dude.
Yeah.
It's like oh
Yeah.
it's so fucking loud.
When they go, it changes the air pressure.
It's insane,
Yeah.
man.
Like the air pressure outside the air you're breathing, it takes it away.
God forbid there's only one, then there's 4 of them sitting there. You're talking like 60,000 horsepower.
Yeah, they're what, like 12,000 a piece? So yeah, there's like 46,000 horsepower going down the track at once.
It's like it removes the fillings in your teeth.
Mind you, folks, they rebuild those engines after
Every-
every run.
Every
Every
time.
run, man.
Every run.
That's
And they
Sleeves out, new sleeves in.
meticulously. Like those are probably some of the best engineers on the planet right there. Builders. Hey, let's take this engine apart.
Those dudes work over the top of each other, sticking their hands between other people's hands. Like
I don't know what the time limit is on it, but it's crazy
quick.
fast.
It's
Yeah.
quick, man.
No.
It's quick.
It's insane.
to then go out and turn that many RPMs. To, it's not just like, oh, let's just put it together and see if it starts. No, we're going to go max speed with this motor and run its life out in 4 seconds.
In 4 seconds flat.
Yeah.
Hours of work for 4 seconds of freaking work. Stupid cat.
And then rebuild it again.
I honestly, it's more like minutes of work to rebuild it for 4 seconds.
What do you think's more impressive? The fact that they can engineer a top fuel Hemi to run 4 seconds at 320 miles an hour, or is it equally as impressive, or maybe just on a different scale, that Roush Yates can make a big block run at 9,000 RPMs for 5 hours straight? Period.
That part there, like the whole NASCAR motors for that long.
Yeah.
It never gets talked about it enough.
It's crazy how long those things can run, for as long as they can run, as hot as they're running them. It's nuts, man.
Right. But they make such a spectacle about the motor changes in Top Fuel, because they're filming that the whole time, that they don't give you that opportunity, or, to show you that in NASCAR.
Right.
Because nobody thinks about the oil change part, the motor life part of it for 500 laps or 500 miles.
Right.
Out of here, muted.
Sorry, I was yelling at my cat. Secondly, what I was saying was, before my mic ever so interrupted me, was we also don't talk about how these dirt engines, some of these guys have to use the same engine almost the whole year. Some of these guys, not all of them.
Sure.
Some of them,
Yeah.
And you're turning what, 100 laps a night?
A lot of things with dirt,
laps.
right? A lot of things with dirt racing is the heat, man. They get so hot. They get so hot because sometimes you're mid-pack C-class packed with mud and there's no airflow. And I've seen more than one good car, blow up just from being stuck in the shit,
Yep.
Listen, we got lucky. We didn't have engine issues till last year. That was our first time having engine issues in like 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's unheard of. Like, anyone who's raced, you're probably having a motor problem once a year.
For sure.
I blew up 2 motors in
blew up 2 motors
7
in a day
days.
almost.
Yeah,
7 days.
fucking Fernie about bankrupted his whole ass racing program in a week.
Yeah. blew up on our season opener.
Yeah.
Did a really nice 360.
Talk about how frustrating that was.
And then went back out, gave it to the motor builder. He took it home. That was on Sunday. Had it done for us by Wednesday. Went, picked it up an hour away, put it on, got it fired back up and everything. Went out the Friday and blew it up again in hot laps.
God, I would have been so upset.
Yeah.
I was so upset about that whole situation. And then we figured out it was our problem to begin with. We had the wrong needle in the carburetor. We had a gas needle in, and with the micros, we run methanol. So it was just leaning the motor out way too much.
Yeah. It was kind of like, you guys will hear more on this story now, but you're late at a later date. But kind of when you were talking about trying to figure out stagger Voss, and you guys had the tires on the wrong side. It's like when you're starting out, fuck, you don't know,
Nope.
Yeah.
Our first time we took the car out, there was a super late model, and we just bought a car trailer, had spare parts. It was a whole package. The guy was selling the whole thing.
Right.
And so we took it out to the first night of running, and went out. The car ran terrible. It wouldn't turn.
It would not turn.
It would
my
not.
God.
Wouldn't turn. And we pulled it. We pulled it in, and the guy, one of the guys from the other cars, comes over. He goes, "Hey, I was behind you out there," and he kind of pointed at the back end. He goes, you got your tires. They got to go the other way. The big one goes on the right rear.
How embarrassed were you?
Oh, so embarrassed. I was like, we don't know.
You're
We don't
just
know
sitting there
what we're
going, "Oh,
yeah. Like, listen, I didn't know anything about racing, when this all went down. And,
Oh yeah.
I knew somebody that I went to high school with. He had his car there, and he come over and talked to me, and he's like, so what kind of cars you guys got? I was like, I don't know. It's like a late model. It's got like a body on it. It's like we put like a white body on it. I don't know. Like I didn't even know there was like chassis manufacturers and what they like. I had no clue. So then later on down the road, I found out that we had a Rayburn. So then I was prepared for that question. Ran into this guy again a couple weeks later, and I was like, oh, hey, by the way, it's a Rayburn.
It's a Rayburn. I know
Rayburn.
what you're talking about.
Right.
damn."
Yeah. I had kind of the same experience in my first race, not car race, but I raced motocross when I was a kid, man. And my parents bought me a Honda XR70, a 4-stroke farm bike. And I wanted to go racing. So we go racing, and I'm lined up with all these fucking 2-strokes. And I was like, what are those?
They're much louder than mine.
That doesn't sound like mine. And my buddy Ryan, I think we were probably 10 or 11, maybe 12. My buddy Ryan's sitting on the starting line next to me, and I'm all dead. He's all just smoking out the starting line. And like, I remember the gate dropped, and as soon as the gate dropped, I immediately knew, like,
Outclassed.
Bye.
they were gone, dude. First time I jumped that bike, it hit the ground like a ton of bricks. Big old 4-stroke. Boom. Boy, we were so outgunned. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing at all.
Shit.
Know that feeling though.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Then, I told my dad, how do we get this to sound like that? I didn't know, race
We
bike.
buy a new bike, son.
Yeah.
We buy a new bike.
Damn.
Anyone else got any good racing stories or anything before we move on here?
Man, my grandpa is probably the single-handedly to blame why 60s model Mustangs and Camaros are worth as much as they're worth.
They went through quite a few, huh?
He went through a lot.
Yeah. Oh man, he went through so many cars.
I know all
And
the pictures you send us every year of his
so
cars
many-
being tore
so
up.
ma- Oh god, so many cars that people would almost like kill to have are some of the cars he tore up. Like, it's unbelievable. I'll just show you one picture. Patrick, you can bring this up if you want to. This is one picture of my favorite car that he raced. It's the 67 Mustang, and it is 1 week old in this picture as a race car. And this picture is taken in 1982 or 83. So the car ain't that old to begin with. Right there, man.
Oh
Like,
my.
that's like 1984 or 2, I think.
Yeah. So when you were at your grandpa's house taking all these pictures, holding up all these pictures and sending them, I was like, did the guy ever win? Because every car you set, it's destroyed.
He's got a lot of trophies, but I'm going to tell you right now, man, he's got a lot of tore up race car pictures.
Man.
This is the same car before it was destroyed. So, yeah. That's the same
Wow,
car.
man.
Yeah, that's the same car. So
That's crazy.
my grandpa Gene, man, he tore up a bunch of hot rods, and then that's only half of my racing DNA. The other half of my racing DNA comes from California. My grandpa and my dad. My grandpa Joe raced Top Fuel Hydros in the 60s and 70s and set a bunch of world records with his race boats.
Yeah, I forgot you have racing boat in your. I forgot about all of that. Isn't that the same family that ended up doing Stan Benson?
No. So that's
your other side?
That's our in-laws.
Okay.
That's our in-laws. So my grandpa Joe did the hydro, the top fuel hydros in the 60s and 70s, and then my dad and him did the dirt bike. So that's where I get my dirt bike DNA from.
The hydros in the 60s and 70s. Now that is nutty.
Buddy,
Mhm.
let me tell you something. This boat, it was all wood. All his boats were handmade, all made out of wood. And if I can find this picture real quick, I'll show you. I'll send you a picture, Patrick, of the hydro in the water. Boys,
The whole-
we're talking about a 392 blown Hemi in an all wooden boat that sits 6 inches out of the water, and it does almost 200 miles an hour, and there's a lap belt holding you in the front of it. I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's
The
nuts.
60s, the 60s and the 70s, safety was not part of. It was like if you got into a wreck,
absolutely
you
insane.
just died. Like it was just part of it. That was
It
part
was
of racing.
Man, it was literally if you wrecked, you died, because
Yeah.
those boats, man. I mean, you're cooking along there 180, 160. My grandpa's hydro set a world record at 165 miles an hour, and Jack Sieber's wearing a life jacket and a lap belt. You know, insane. But ask somebody else a question. Let me find this picture. I'll show you a picture.
I don't think I had any more questions.
Vossi,
wait.
how would you and your homie get into racing right out of school?
All right. Yeah. So we were probably in senior year of high school when we had gone and watched some racing at our local dirt track, the Belclair Speedway in Belleville, Illinois. If you watched or listened to any of Dale Jr.'s podcast, and he talks about I think it was him and Kenny Schrader. He was interviewing Kenny Schrader, and Kenny Schrader was they were telling a story about when him and he brought Junior along with him to go racing, and Junior had a car that he was running for Schrader, a late model, and he was talking about going. They came to Belleville one year because Belleville had wooden walls. Their walls are all wood, so they called it banging the boards at
Nice.
in Belleville. So anyway, that's where we started watching racing was in Belleville. And then he just decided that he was going to get into racing and get a super late model. Why not? If you're going to get into it, why not just go all the way to the best and go to the top class, not start at the lower class and work our way up? Nope, we go straight to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first night at Belleville was where we put reverse stagger on the car. It got a little better as the rest of the season went on, but still not great. Still just figuring everything out on the car, because you talk to guys and some guys would be helpful. Some guys would steer you in the completely wrong direction. They don't want you to know their
right.
secrets.
I'm sure Fernie could tell you some stories about that.
We definitely learned a lot about that. That who was your friend and who wasn't when you'd go, and so we learned a lot of those lessons the hard way.
Bossy, is that Belclair now?
It's still Belclair. They're redoing it, so that'll be back up and running here shortly in a few years. I'm sure they haven't quite started construction on it yet, but they're moving the track, and it's kind of in the same location. They're just kind of shifting the way the track is designed, giving more room for parking.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Patrick,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So went through Belclair, got that pretty much finished our season there at Belclair, and then we went to. Then that next off season, the next year, we got a newer car that was new enough that we could then go to CJ Rayburn's chassis class, which was the same year that.
There you
there
go.
it is. There's
old
Belclair.
Belclair.
Yep.
That is a tiny track.
Oh yeah. Yep. 5th mile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
That looks like a blast, though.
Yeah. It was a great track. It was pretty much that's about as small as you could get for super late models, because trying to go too wide there, it's, sideways, you can't stack them one on top of the other sideways. So
Right.
it was tight racing, and they were banging boards every night, every Friday night when they'd run. They were running,
Tearing up some sheet metal.
they were tearing down some sheet metal for sure. Yeah, I got really good at unscrewing, drilling out pipe rivets, and putting panels on the ground, stomping them out, and
Oh, yeah.
flattening them out for the next. Go back out there for the next round of it. So yeah, we did that, and we went to.
There she is.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, that's tight.
Got some width there, though, at least.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that we went to CJ Rayburn's chassis class, and that was the same year that Shannon Babb was 10 pounds light at the World 100.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah. So CJ, whenever he would talk about weight distribution in the cars, he would just rag Shannon. He was like, "Weight's very important, isn't it, Shannon?" And it was just, he was devastated. That was such a huge crown jewel win for him, to get it taken away over 10 pounds or whatever it was. It was a minimal amount of weight that he was light, but rules are rules, and
Definitely.
that's the way that goes. So yeah, we did that, and then first race out, not even the first race really. It was like it was hot laps for a race, so it doesn't count, doesn't mean anything if you win it, or there is no scoring of it. Went out in hot laps, and he carried the left front, and I cried. I was standing on the pits, the outside of the track, and
I cried.
I cried like a little kid, and I'm sure the people around me thought I was
You want
baby.
You want to see me crying like a little kid? Patrick, bring up that picture of me on the mini stock.
all right, give me a second.
This was my first win at Monette Speedway, right there. That's my brother.
Yeah.
That's my
Wow.
brother. That's my brother. It with the camera in his hand, and that's Cody right there on the right, the car owner, and me. And I was crying in the front seat for sure.
Yeah, man, that's big. Like that's
That's awesome.
And then if you scroll a little bit farther, there's a couple pictures of the hydro from the.
Oh yeah, folks. Yeah, this is the hydro boat. This thing's cool.
Wow.
As shit.
There you go, Vossi. There's
Safety.
There's Miss Spico. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Is that a Galaxy or a Thunderbird pulling that?
It's a Thunderbird, bro.
Hell yes!
It's a Thunderbird.
Look at this Thunderbird.
Yeah, go to the last picture is of Jack breaking the world record. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at the clearance on that.
Nothing
thing.
but the prop in the water.
Bro, he is.
Those
in
are his
there.
knees, dude.
He's in there.
Those are his knees right there.
Oh my god, you're so dead when you flip that.
Oh, my grandpa had never lost any drivers, man. Never lost any boats. Never lost any drivers.
Wow,
That's one
crazy.
lucky man.
Yeah. It was pretty cool, man. Real cool.
Anyone else got another story for us?
I'm all storied out, man, about racing. I didn't do a whole lot of racing. I just go to the races a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
I got one. So we're at Tri-City Speedway at Granite City running the steel block class, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you go out and hot lap the car? Just he wasn't going to have me like race it, but he's like, just go out and run some hot laps, get it warmed up." I said, all right, that's fine. So I, get in the driving suit, get the helmet, get out there. The way those cars are, you got a low and high and reverse. And low, you put it in the way the Burt transmissions are, you put it in low, and then you have to push on the clutch to get the clutch plates to engage so that it drives. And then once you get it up to a certain speed and RPMs, then you throw it into high and you let your foot off the clutch, and now you're just in direct drive.
So the clutch stops you and makes you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm out there putting around, and I get it up into high, and I get on the gas, and it throws you back into the seat, and it lifts the left front, and the track like disappears. Like you don't see any more of the track. So I got let back off the gas and I set her back down, and I got back on the gas and then picked the left front up, and then the track disappeared. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna putt around. I just idled around the track and I pulled in and I go, hey, how do you see when you race? And he said, I don't. He said, I count the light poles and I know when to let off. Because you like when you hike the left front, and he was sat so low in the car because all the dirt and mud clouds that were like coming at his head. So like he just had like a little window that he was looking out of that he would and when the left front came up, the front end was, you just lost so much of the track. You couldn't see anything in front of you. And so he used his hearing to be able to hear cars on his left. And then he would count light poles and knew when to let off and set the car. And
That's crazy.
he basically drove off the right. I guess that's what they mean when they say they drive off the right front, because that's the only spot you could look.
I'm still working on figuring out what drive off the right front.
But we're figuring it out slowly.
Yeah.
Well, that's like what they tell Larson and here when he's doing. Actually, speaking of Larson, he spun out earlier.
You don't have to tell Larson shit, boy.
Well, when he got the tires hot last year, they're like, remember, drive off the right front, cool it down a little bit. He's like, I know. I know. Speaking of Larson,
It was so good to watch him win the Chili Bowl again. That was so much fun.
I'm so jealous. I wanted to see him win Knoxville the year Vossi and I went, but he cut a tire, I think, that year. Him and Macedo both cut tires.
Well, we're gonna watch it next year because you're gonna be there. So
See. So if does anyone have any other stories? No? All right. So, folks, now we're going to move in quickly off of racing to something that is arguably one of the biggest sporting spectacles of mankind every year. But I think this year the NFL is going to learn its lesson.
you gonna make me talk about football?
I'm just going to have you make a pick quick. That's all I'm doing. So with that being said, folks, we're going to all pick our picks here for the Super Bowl. So we're going to start with Cheatin' Steve down there at the bottom. Cheatin' Steve, who are you picking in for this weekend?
I'm gonna have to go with Chiefs.
And why?
I mean, I think they're the better team. Number one. Number two, I want to see them three-peat. It'd be cool to see.
Bernie, who you got?
I'm going with the Eagles.
That's Fossey. I think we know who you're going to go with. Fossey, who you going with?
I'm going for the three-peat because it's got to happen.
Glover, I think Glover, who you going with?
Going with the city of brotherly love, baby. Go Birds.
It's a complete
Saquon's going to run for 220. He's going to run all over the Chiefs. And the
Go
Eagles are gonna win.
Birds.
It's the only time we're going to hear me say this. Go Birds.
Saquon can run all the 220s he wants. Good for him. I want him to run 220. Cool.
Jason Kelsey's going to suit back up and start hiking the ball. It's going to be.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be awesome.
So now that we're done with that,
Mark Wahlberg is going to be there. Rocky. It's going to be the whole shit.
Yeah, they're all going to get together. Apparently, quickly before we jump into the next topic here, apparently next year's opener is going to be Eagles-Rams in Australia.
Yes, I did hear about that. That's going to be awesome.
That'll be fun to cover.
That should be really cool. So now we're going to move on to the biggest motor racing event of the year, which happens in 2 weeks. Clearly in Daytona Beach, Florida, the 500. This is what, year number 60?
Uh-huh.
So, gentlemen, who are your picks? Who is your winner?
We haven't talked about this, so I'm interested to hear what everybody's going to say.
So first the NASCAR question is, who's your 500 winner? Anyone can start. I'm not going to single people out. Let's just.
I'm going with Justin Allgaier and Dale Jr. and Chris Stapleton, man, with the Whiskey River car, baby.
All right, Glover's got Allgaier.
Mm-hmm.
Who's next?
All right, so I'm just going to say this.
I swear to God, if you say Bubba Wallace.
Oh, God, no. No, I'm going to say this about your pick. I'm just going to say this about your pick.
Okay.
I think Justin Allgaier is a good driver. He's a fast driver, but I watched him in that in his final race of the season last year. He is a little too aggressive for Daytona if he runs the way he did at that final race.
Fair.
That he's gonna try and stick his nose where it can't go, and
Mhm.
he's gonna cause a wreck or be in a wreck.
Let me just tell you why real quick before we go on past this, because I am the biggest Dale Jr. fan you probably will ever meet. That's really the only reason why. I want to see Dale Jr. in Chris Stapleton's car win the damn Daytona 500. That'd be awesome. I think that NASCAR would benefit tremendously from that, getting an Earnhardt in the victory lane at Daytona again, and being Junior, and that he's the most popular driver in NASCAR history. I mean, it'd be awesome.
All right. So 2 down, 3 to go.
Oh wait, I didn't make my pick.
no,
Bobby
you didn't. Yeah,
Bobby didn't
I
pick.
just ragged on Glover's pick.
That's okay.
So
We're still-
my pick would be the most normal common pick is Kyle Larson for the win.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that, and I wouldn't be upset.
I wouldn't be either. Let's go house plan. House plan. Who you got?
Bossy kind of said my first pick because I do not follow NASCAR as much as I used to, but I'd love to see Kyle Larson win or even Chase Elliott because I've been a Bill Elliott fan since he was ever in the car.
Awesome Bill from
Awesome
Dawsonville,
Bill
baby.
Yep.
from Dawsonville.
Speaking
Damn
of-
right.
Speaking
His
of-
kid's very good.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm pretty sure Chase just led every lap of the Clash to win it.
He did.
Yeah, so
He did.
He did. Yeah. Cheating Steve, who you got?
Oh, let's see here. Well, I'm just
Oh,
such a
here we
huge
fucking
NASCAR
go.
fan here. So, Bossy took the easy pick here. So,
I know. You're welcome.
I'm
Usually-
really
every week. I'm going to ask you guys who what picks are for the week.
well, maybe I should actually take and do some
you're gonna have
research
to
on
do
NASCAR.
you're gonna have to
maybe
do your
some wa-
homework
Actually,
this time,
watch some.
Steve.
Just a little bit.
But I'm gonna have to go with Ryan Blaney. He's local to
Interesting.
where I grew up,
Yep.
so it'd be great to see him win.
Interesting.
I don't know if he will, but we're gonna go with that. Like I said, I grew up about 20 minutes from where he was, so it'd be cool to see him win that.
All right, Patrick, lay it on us.
Chase Briscoe.
Ooh.
The Toyotas are always good at Daytona. And I have this weird feeling that Joe Gibbs is doing what Hendrick did a couple years ago, where he's like, all right, I got to get these young guys in here. Kyle's gone. All I got's left to kick out Denny.
we're gonna have an honorable mention here, okay? Just because I feel like he's been so close so many times. Y'all watch out. Denny Hamlin's he's gonna be right there.
He's going to get number 4.
He's gonna be right there, man.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's part of the reason why
Right there.
I picked Toyotas. They always find a way to work together at these races, and they're always up front when it matters.
And Bubba Wallace has been right there so
Oh,
many
God.
times.
Multiple times.
Not a
Multiple
Bubba
times.
fan. Not a Bubba fan. Don't
he's there.
Don't care for his character very. I don't. He's like Kyle Busch to me. I don't really care for Kyle Busch
I
either.
love Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he was.
hasn't
he-
Ross Chastain
he-
been real close too?
He didn't impress me at the Chili Bowl, bro.
Yes, Ross has been, but also you can't count out Stenhouse either.
Recky?
He's
You
always
can't-
there. He's
you
always
can't-
there.
Recky can't hold his shit together long enough to win the Daytona 500.
He's always there in those super speedway races, though, and that's sadly the first 2
Just
races
rub
of the
people
year.
over in a
Shit, he
metric
just
plate.
wrecked Burt Myers in the damn clash.
He did.
I mean, his nickname. I mean, like you said, Recky Spinhouse. You earned the nickname for a reason.
Yeah, he did. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I got nothing for you. The duels are next week, not this
Yep.
week, coming up, but the week after. So we still have the duels to look forward to.
Yeah.
And that's
Really
going to give us a lot for the Daytona 500 too. Those duels.
Yeah, and usually, as everyone knows, if you don't know and you're watching, if the first race is tame, the second race not so much. If the first race isn't tame, the second race is usually a toss-up.
Yep.
But apparently they're going to 41 cars this year,
Hmm.
which is 2 now. 2. I don't think 43 should have ever been a lesser number. I mean, you had more cars, but I guess with stage racing, which needs to go away.
Yeah, that's when I quit watching NASCAR.
Well, actually, keep the stages, get rid of the cautions.
They kind of did that shit at Chili Bowl this year. They took it from 55 laps in honor of Donnie Ray Crawford back down to 40 laps because they were worried about the track state.
Which I thought gave it a better track state. Granted, they were all running the cushion, but
It pissed a lot of people off, man.
I was not real happy
Pissed a
about
lot
it.
of people off. It pissed a lot of people off because it's Oklahoma
Yeah.
boys, Oklahoma track, Oklahoma building. I mean, they when that whole shit went down with them and they all died, they made that event 55 laps, and it was a big deal when they did that.
Yeah.
So,
But
what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
I don't know what he's laughing at.
I don't know what he's laughing at either.
Anyways, I have another question for you, gentlemen.
All right.
Just give me a champion for the year.
Kyle Larson.
Larson.
Okay, there's 2 Larsons.
Larson.
Sure.
or
I'd-
Elmer?
Go ahead,
I'd
Frank.
like to see Chase Elliott do it again.
Okay, was
Larson or Blaney.
Blaney or Reddick?
Ooh, I'd like to see Tyler Reddick.
Tyler Reddick would be good.
Late model guy
He's-
right there.
He's
Well,
won
that-
some good races, man. He's
and
won
he-
some good races.
And he's always
Mm.
the only guy that can run Larson down up top that's not named Christopher Bell.
Who's he running for?
Reddick runs for Denny.
Is
Yeah.
he still running for Denny? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I don't know if you guys heard anything about the lawsuit with them, but with the lawsuit, they can still run this year with them in front row can run this year or whatever. Something
All
weird
right,
with it.
So I don't know who's going to win the season, but I, agree with Justin that Allgaier I think he's going to put on a show this year. He may not win the season, but you're going to know his name
Yeah.
by the season ending. Like he's going to make, top 5, top 6, whatever.
I think he makes the chase for sure.
Yeah.
I can see that. I'd like to see Ty Gibbs
He can
top
put
4 this year.
Allgaier can put that car where he needs to when he needs to. I just think that the Daytona 500 is not the race he's going to do that in.
Yeah, and I think he's like Allmendinger in that sense, where they've been around it enough where it's like, listen, dude, we've ran all these generations since what, the late 2000s.
Yeah,
We know what we're doing.
He knows how to play the points.
Yeah,
I mean that clearly from last season.
yeah, clearly. Is there anything else we want to go over here, gentlemen? Anything else you guys want to say for people at home?
Just I appreciate everybody that listens and that's gonna listen. And if you made it this far, then I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
We really do appreciate it, folks. Like I said,
We're just a bunch of blue collar dudes and dads just trying to have a good time,
Yep. And we're just a group of brothers just trying to talk, have fun, and give you guys something to laugh about every day, make your days better. These guys have been bothering me to get on here for a minute. And like I said, I didn't tell everyone on that first episode we'll say, with our little clips there, but Noah will still be around. He's just busy. He had just had twins, so he's got 3 boys now.
Mhm.
And he has a new job. So
And we're missing our resident Canadian Chadwick.
we're missing our resident Canadian Chadwick.
Wait till you guys meet Chad and he goes on a hockey rant. Good God.
Or just a rant in general. But again, we're excited to bring you guys this content and everything. We're really excited for you guys to watch what's going to happen here with this show. Breakfast with the Boys.
We've been putting a lot of thought into this. It's been conversations had for years now about doing this and getting it all hashed out and how we were going to do it. And so
we're really looking forward to this. If you guys don't know, follow Justin Glover. Just follow Justin Glover on Facebook and Instagram. He's got followers. He posts videos for if you like lifted trucks or car stuff. He's your guy.
yeah.
Bossy likes playing with pipes.
Yeah, I do. I love
So Faceless Steve does fire extinguisher stuff, so we don't need to worry about him. He's safe all the time until
Faceless Steve won't be
Fire
faceless for
protection.
long.
Sorry,
It's more than just
until his truck tries taking a chunk of his leg with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did
And
lose
then-
a chunk of that.
Houseplant, he's just trying to photosynthesize over there in the window.
Mhm.
Wow.
And then me, I'm just the bald, greasy one because I'm Italian.
Photosynthesized in the window.
I'm oily. So, folks,
Don't forget, man. If you guys are into iRacing or you want to get into iRacing, we all 5 of us, including Chad and Noah. Does Noah iRace?
no, he's gonna
Okay.
get it. He wants the ATS with us. When he
Okay,
gets
so
when he gets his computer.
all 6 of us that iRace, man, we are more than happy to help you guys get started. Give any insight we can on what we've learned about setting up cars. If you guys are having trouble setting up cars, Patrick's really good on asphalt. Fernie's really good setting up dirt cars, and we all have kind of our quirks in the middle. Steve is Mr. Consistency, and I can drive anything Pro 4. Me and Vossi are pretty damn good on the Pro 4, so we're here to help, man. And if you guys want to follow the All American Dirt Tour, that's our league on iRacing that we're doing this year. And we're about to have our 3rd or 4th race.
No, we're going on our 4th.
Going on our 4th race coming up this
Wednesday at
Wednesday.
9:30.
This Wednesday at 9:30. So there'll be plenty of posts about that on my social media, on Patrick's, Vossi's, and Fernie's. So if you guys want to check it out, come check it out.
Yep, folks, like you said, come check it out. We're at the Diamond of All Dirt Tracks this Wednesday at 9:30, Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri.
Yep.
Mhm.
So virtual Wheatland, Missouri. We're all coming from our random places. But folks, this has been the official first episode of Breakfast with the Boys.
Yay.
As always, Justin Glover, Nathan Vossi, Stephen Fernberg's on the other side there. Cheating Steve's below me next to Glover over here somewhere. I'm Patrick Coluccio. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out, gentlemen. Have a good night, and we will see y'all again later this week with probably our random recording. So love y'all. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Hasta la
Peace.
vista.